Picture this. You're lying in bed at 3 a.m. mind racing, tomorrow's deadline. That conversation you've been avoiding. The dream you keep pushing off. Your phone buzzes with another notification, and suddenly you're spiraling through a feed of other people's highlight reels while your own life feels stuck on pause. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth. Most people live their entire lives as passengers in their own story, reacting to whatever the world throws at them, thinking they'll figure it out tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, and that quiet desperation just gets louder. But what if I told you that 2,000 years ago a group of ancient philosophers cracked the code? They figured out how to stay unshakable in chaos, how to build character when everything's falling apart, and how to find peace in a world designed to steal your attention. The Stoics weren't just thinkers. They were emperors, slaves, warriors who faced real battles and impossible choices. They discovered that while you can't control what happens to you, you have absolute power over what it means to you. And today, we're diving deep into their 12 most powerful daily practices. Simple decisions that separate those who drift through life from those who master it. If you're tired of feeling scattered, if you want to reclaim your inner compass and build something unbreakable within yourself, this video is your roadmap. And if you're ready to join thousands of others on this journey toward clarity and strength, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started. Decision 1. Start instead of stalling. We all have that voice. You know the one. It whispers, sweet lies. You'll do it tomorrow when you feel ready, when you have more energy, when the timing is perfect. But here's what that voice doesn't tell you. Tomorrow is where dreams go to die. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Every time you delay, you're not just postponing a task. You're practicing the art of giving up. You're training your brain that comfort is more important than growth. The Stoics understood something profound. The moment you have the most power is right now. Not when you feel inspired. Not when fear disappears. Now. Marcus Aurelius, who could have waited until retirement to write his philosophical reflections, chose to write them in the middle of military campaigns, plagues, and political chaos. In Meditations, he wrote, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." That hits different when you realize he was literally running an empire while writing it. Carl Jung put it even more bluntly. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. The line between who you are and who you want to become gets drawn in moments like these, when you choose action over avoidance. Here's the psychological reality. Every time you procrastinate, your brain rewards you with a hit of relief. That temporary escape from discomfort becomes addictive, but it's fake peace. It builds anxiety in the background, that low-grade guilt that follows you around like a shadow. Starting disrupts that pattern. It tells your nervous system, we're safe, we can handle this, we can move forward. Plato said, the beginning is the most important part of the work, not because beginnings are easy, but because without them, there's no middle, no growth, no transformation. Just another cycle of maybe tomorrow. Here's your challenge. Pick one thing you've been avoiding. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Start badly, start awkwardly, but start. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move despite. And courage, like every virtue, is built one choice at a time. Decision 2. Build systems, not just motivation. Ever notice how motivation vanishes the exact moment you need it? You're pumped up with a plan 1 minute, scrolling your phone wondering where the last hour went the next. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Motivation is a liar. It promises to show up, then leaves you hanging. But discipline is your most reliable friend. Your brain craves patterns, predictability. That's why you brush your teeth without a motivational speech. It's automatic, wired in. Now imagine if your workout, your reading habit, your creative practice were just is automatic. That's the power of systems. The Stoics knew this intimately. Epictetus didn't say, get inspired, then do the right thing. He said, first decide who you would be, then do what you have to do. Formula first, feeling second. You don't wait to feel like the person you want to become. You act like them until it becomes natural. And structure makes that possible. Carl Jung understood this when he wrote, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." Your habits are your autobiography, written in daily actions, not grand declarations. Look, some days you'll be tired, some days life will hit hard. That's exactly when you need your system most. Something simple, predictable, grounding. When life is chaotic, your routine becomes your anchor. You don't negotiate with yourself. You just follow the plan you made. When your mind was clear, Plato said, "The first and best victory is to conquer yourself." You conquer yourself by removing the daily battle of willpower. You decide ahead of time what matters, then protect it with structure. Build what I call your non-negotiables. 3 daily actions that happen no matter what. Tired? They get done. Traveling? They get done. Busy? They get done. Period. Maybe it's writing 200 words, reading 10 pages, a 20-minute walk, 5 minutes of meditation. Small actions that align with who you're becoming. Because here's the secret. Habits eat motivation for breakfast. When discipline becomes your baseline, success stops being a question of if and becomes a question of when. Decision 3. Protect your mental space. Socrates warned us to beware the barrenness of a busy life. A life filled with activity but empty of purpose, rhythm, and peace. Yet most of us wake up and immediately hand our attention to a glowing screen before we've even had water. Tap, scroll, absorb, repeat. We call it staying informed. But let's be honest, it's a silent addiction dressed up as awareness. The Stoics would see right through this. Epictetus warned us to avoid the things that make us weaker. And here's the brutal truth. Most of what we consume online doesn't make us wiser. It makes us reactive. It hijacks our nervous system, trains us to be emotionally volatile, and floods our day with other people's agendas. We think we're becoming informed, but we're actually becoming distracted. And distraction is one of the fastest paths away from peace. Carl Jung once wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." Think about that the next time you're 3 hours deep into news articles you can't change or debates that leave you drained. The more we drown in constant input, the less we hear our own thoughts. The less we check in with what we believe, what we value, what actually needs our attention. Marcus Aurelius spent his mornings in reflection, not reaction. He understood that the first hour of the day sets the tone for everything that follows. Here's your experiment. Block out 1 hour today. Just one, and go completely analog. No screens, no feeds, no headlines. Read a physical book. Take a walk with no destination. Journal with pen and paper. Let your mind stretch out without being pulled in 100 directions. This is how you reclaim presence. This is how you remember what it feels like to think your own thoughts. The Stoics weren't trying to escape the world. They were trying to stay rooted in reality. Not the drama, not the noise, but reality you can actually touch, feel, and observe. With your own senses, silence isn't a luxury. It's a discipline. And in today's world, it's an act of rebellion. Decision 4. Ask, Is this essential? There's something exhausting about doing a lot while feeling like nothing's getting done. You check off tasks, answer emails, bounce between errands, yet end the day with a nagging sense that none of it moved the needle. That's not just burnout, that's misalignment. You're busy but not better, active but not advancing. Marcus Aurelius, in one of the most brutally honest passages of Meditations, wrote, "Most of what we say and do is not essential. If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more peace." The question that cuts through all the fog is simple. Is this essential? Carl Jung observed that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Often, all that busy work is exactly that, a way to dodge the deeper work, to feel productive without being purposeful. You clean your inbox but avoid that difficult conversation. You tweak your schedule but don't take the first step toward your way. Dream. You overcommit because saying no would mean facing the guilt or confronting the truth. Socrates believed the key to wisdom was asking better questions. Is this essential? Might be the simplest and strongest filter you can apply to your life. When you remove what doesn't matter, what does matter starts to stand out like a beacon. Here's something you can do right now. Write down your top goal. Just 1. The thing that matters most to you right now. Then look at what you're planning to do today. Cross out 3 things that don't serve that goal. You'll be shocked how easy it is to find them, and how freeing it feels to let them go. The Stoics understood that saying no to good things creates space for great things. Your time and energy are finite resources. Spend them like your life depends on it, because it does. Decision 5. Use obstacles as training. Life isn't smooth. People interrupt, plans fall apart, expectations get crushed. Just when you think you've got things under control, someone cuts you off in traffic or sends that passive-aggressive email that ruins your mood. It's tempting to think, why can't things just go right for once? But here's the paradigm shift. What if the universe wasn't against you, but training you? The Stoics saw every difficulty, every irritation, as a tool for growth. Marcus Aurelius put it like this: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He wasn't being poetic. He meant it literally. That thing annoying you? It's a test, a mirror, a lesson. The frustrating people in your life? They're the curriculum. Your reactions? That's the exam. Carl Jung said it beautifully. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. That quote stings because it's true. That person who triggers you might be pointing to something unhealed within you. That obstacle that keeps showing up might be the very thing shaping your strength. Most of us want peace without pressure, growth without friction. But Stoicism reminds us that virtue isn't built in comfort, it's built in conflict. Socrates believed the soul was strengthened through tension, through questioning, contradiction, and challenge. That person who constantly tests your patience isn't a curse. They're your training partner, spotting you as you lift the emotional weight of self-control. Because let's be honest, it's easy to be kind when everyone's nice. It's easy to stay calm when nothing's going wrong. But where's the growth in that? Every obstacle is asking you the same question. Who are you going to be when things don't go your way? That's where character is built, not in the easy moments, but in the friction. Decision 6. Choose your own approval. There's a strange thing about growth. It often requires disappointing other people, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're finally doing what's right for you. We live in a world addicted to external validation. Thumbs up, likes, comments, claps. But none of these are measures of character. They're mirrors, and often warped ones at that. Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. That hits deep. How often do we lower our standards, delay our progress, or water down our truth just to fit in or be liked? Carl Jung observed that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But that privilege comes with a price. You have to be willing to walk alone sometimes, to be misunderstood, to say no to what's popular, and yes to what's personal. That takes guts, and it takes clarity about who you are and who you're trying to become. Plato taught that the highest good was the pursuit of virtue, not praise. In his world, the wise person didn't aim to be seen as good. They aimed to be good, quietly, consistently, regardless of the audience. Your standard is your responsibility. No one else sets it, no one else enforces it. It's yours to raise or lower, and yours to live by. Socrates said, "Be as you wish to seem," not in appearance but in substance. In private, when no one's watching, that's where your true measure is taken. When you start chasing your own approval instead of the crowd's, real growth begins. You stop performing and start becoming. You stop seeking permission and start taking responsibility. The people who truly matter will respect your boundaries. The ones who don't, they're showing you exactly where they belong in your life. Decision. 7. Find stillness in the storm. There are days when everything hits at once, a critical comment, a missed deadline, bad news from someone you care about. You feel like you're being tossed around by life, caught in a current stronger than you. But that feeling isn't new, and it's not unique. Humans have been facing storms since the beginning of time. The Stoics didn't promise calm seas. They promised clarity in chaos. They believed the wise person doesn't run from the storm. Instead, they learn how to stand still within it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." That's not just metaphor. That's a challenge. To be steady when the world is spinning. To be centered when emotions want to hijack your reason. Carl Jung said, "Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness." It's not about avoiding the dark. It's about learning how to carry light within it. And that begins with presence, with awareness. You don't have to react to everything. Not every emotion needs a reply. Not every situation needs your energy. Sometimes the most powerful move is to pause. Here's where Stoicism gives us one of its simplest and strongest tools. The question, is this in my control? It's the filter that cuts through panic and helps you respond, not react. When someone says something that stings, ask it. When plans fall apart, ask it. When anxiety creeps in over things you can't fix, ask it. Socrates believed that self-mastery was the foundation of wisdom. In moments of stress, that mastery starts with breath. Try this. Next time life shakes you, stop and take 10 deep breaths. Not short gasps, deep, grounding breaths. Let your nervous system settle. Then ask that question. If it's within your control, act. If it's not, release it. Let it pass like weather over the sea. The storm will pass. But the strength you build in learning to stand still within it, that stays with you forever. Decision 8. Walk to think, sometimes. The most powerful solutions are hiding in plain sight. We search for peace in books, apps, routines, and advice from strangers on the internet. Yet some of the deepest clarity comes from simply stepping outside, literally. Just you, your feet, and the world around you. The Stoics understood the healing nature of movement. Seneca advised, "We should take wandering outdoor walks, so that the mind might be nourished and refreshed by the open air and deep breathing." It wasn't just about health, it was about perspective, about stepping away from the noise of society and into the rhythm of nature. a rhythm that calms the nervous system, grounds the mind, and resets your internal compass. Modern psychology backs this up. Carl Jung often walked in the woods to collect his thoughts. He believed nature had a way of connecting us to something deeper, something primal and pure that can't be accessed through screens or conversations. There's something ancient about walking. It engages the body just enough to keep restlessness at bay, while opening up space for real thinking, real feeling. Socrates was known for teaching while walking. So was Aristotle. Their schools weren't lecture halls. They were paths, gardens, open spaces where minds could move while feet did the same. They understood what we often forget. Some thoughts need motion to come alive. Some answers can't be found sitting still. When you walk without distraction, no podcast, no music, no notifications, your mind begins to process, to integrate, to sort through what actually matters. What seemed huge an hour ago begins to shrink. What felt blurry starts to sharpen. Try this, just 10 minutes, no phone, no music, just walk. Feel the ground under your shoes. Listen to the breeze, the traffic, the birds, whatever's out there. Let your thoughts breathe for once. Let your attention return to its natural state, present. This is how you remember what stillness feels like in a world that's forgotten how to be quiet. Decision 9. Practice. Quiet strength. There's a quiet kind of power that never makes headlines. It doesn't demand applause, doesn't shout or posture. It moves through the world gently but leaves a deep impact. That power is kindness. Not the performative kind wrapped in hashtags or social media posts. The real kind. The kind that asks for nothing in return. We've been taught to see kindness as softness, as something passive. But the Stoics would disagree. True kindness, in their eyes, is an act of discipline, of mastery over self. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." That wasn't a feel-good quote. It was a challenge. Because kindness isn't always easy. It often shows up when your patience is thin, your pride is wounded, or your energy is drained. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Every interaction is a chance to leave people better or worse. That small gesture, that moment of restraint, that unexpected grace, it doesn't just affect them, it changes you. It builds your character, your poise, your control. Socrates taught that justice was one of the highest virtues. In many ways, kindness is justice in action, not legal justice, but everyday justice. How you treat the person bringing you coffee. How you speak to someone who can't do anything for you. How you act when you're right but choose not to rub it in. Plato believed the soul grows when we do good without recognition. That's the test. Can you be kind without the spotlight? Without credit? When no one's watching, the strongest people don't. Flex their power, they use it to lift, to protect, to give. And that's what Stoic kindness looks like. Controlled, intentional, strong. Decision 10. Curate your mental diet. We don't realize how noisy our minds have become until we try to sit still. We reach for our phones out of habit, then find ourselves neck-deep in a scroll that doesn't end. News, opinions, memes, hot takes. Constant stimulation, but almost zero nourishment. It's like snacking on junk food all day and wondering why you feel empty. The Stoics believed in the careful curation of thoughts. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." What are most of us feeding our minds? Highlights, gossip, comparison, distraction. That's not thinking. It's reacting. That's not wisdom, it's mental clutter. In this age of infinite content, choosing what not to consume might be the greatest discipline. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Mindless scrolling is exactly that, unconscious living. You're not choosing what to think. You're being told what to think, feel, and fear. But reading puts you back in control. It slows your brain down just enough for reflection. It gives you space to wrestle with ideas rather than just absorb them. Plato believed the written word could preserve and transmit wisdom across generations. That's why reading isn't just a hobby. It's a portal. A book written 2,000 years ago can speak directly to your modern struggles. Stoic texts like Epictetus's discourses or Seneca's letters are timeless because they cut through distraction and speak to the core of what it means to be human. Even fiction matters. Aristotle said, "Fiction is the lie through which we tell the truth." Great novels show us the human condition in all its complexity. They build empathy, challenge assumptions, something no algorithm is designed to do. Here's something small but powerful. Replace 10 minutes of scrolling with 10 minutes of reading. A few pages of a classic, a thoughtful essay, a poem. Give your brain something it can actually digest, something that nourishes instead of numbs. Decision 11. End each day with intention. There's something powerful about sunsets. They signal the end of the day but also whisper a quiet truth. No matter how messy the beginning was, there's still time to bring it to peace. In life, like in nature, the ending leaves the strongest impression. That's why how we close a day matters just as much, maybe even more, than how we started. Let's be real. Not every day goes as planned. Sometimes we snap at the wrong person, waste hours on distractions, abandon our better judgment in a split second. Decision. But the Stoics remind us, you are not the sum of your worst moments. What defines you is what you choose next. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At every moment, keep a sturdy mind on the task at hand. As a Roman and a man, do it with strict and simple dignity." In other words, refocus, regain your posture, finish the moment well, even if the one before it fell apart. Carl Jung pointed out something similar. "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That choice, especially at the end of the day, is where power lives. You don't need the whole day to go perfectly to feel proud of it. You just need to end with intention. That could mean a heartfelt apology, 5 minutes of journaling, a walk to clear your mind, or reading something meaningful before bed. Socrates believed in the examined life, the kind that holds up a mirror at the end of each day, not with guilt but with curiosity. Did I live according to my values today? What could I have done differently? Where can I course correct tomorrow? These questions don't make you weak. They make you wise. They pull you out of mindless repetition and into conscious growth. The day is ending anyway. The question is, will you let it slip away unexamined? Or will you extract its lessons and carry them forward? Decision 12. Remember your mortality. There's a certain clarity that only comes when you realize time is running out. Not in a panicked, doom and gloom way, but in a raw, honest way that sharpens your perspective. When you really feel how short this life is, suddenly a lot of the noise fades. The drama, the distractions, the endless overthinking, it all gets quieter. And what's left? What matters? The Stoics didn't shy away from death. They embraced it as a teacher, a daily reminder. Memento mori. Remember you must die, not to scare yourself, but to wake yourself up. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He didn't mean live recklessly. He meant live deliberately. Carl Jung echoed this in his own way. Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. It's playful, but underneath is a hard truth. We spend too much time preparing to live instead of actually living. We hesitate, we stall, we put things off until we feel ready. But death doesn't wait until you're ready. And that's exactly why the Stoics tell us to reflect on it, not to become afraid, but to be freed by it. Socrates believed that philosophy was preparation for death, not because philosophers are morbid, but because they aim to strip away illusion. When you know you don't have forever, you stop pretending you do. You stop wasting hours on things that don't matter. You stop holding grudges. You stop playing small. That argument you're having, it won't matter someday. That dream you keep pushing back, someday might not come. Memento mori is the ultimate reset button, a mental shift that reminds you, you're here now, you're breathing now, so do something now. Life is short, but it's also wide if you choose to live it with clarity, discipline, and purpose. Here's what I want you to understand. These 12 decisions aren't just philosophical concepts gathering dust in ancient books. They're battle-tested strategies from people who faced real chaos, real loss, real uncertainty, and found a way to stand unshakable in the storm. Every morning you wake up with a choice. You can drift through another day on autopilot, reacting to whatever life throws at you, or you can take the reins. You can choose focus over frenzy, depth over distraction, purpose over panic. The Stoics discovered something profound. While you can't control what happens to you, you have absolute sovereignty over what it means to you. That's not just philosophy. That's freedom. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while plague ravaged his people. Epictetus built philosophy from chains of slavery. Seneca found wisdom in both wealth and exile. They didn't have perfect lives, they had disciplined responses to imperfect circumstances. And that's your power too. Every decision we've discussed today is available to you right now. Not when you feel ready, not when life settles down, but now. Start that project you've been avoiding. Build systems that make discipline automatic. Protect your mental space like it's sacred ground. Ask yourself, is this essential? Use obstacles as training. Choose your own approval over the crowd's applause. Find stillness in chaos and clarity in motion. Practice quiet strength. Curate what enters your mind. End each day with intention, and remember, this beautiful, fragile, temporary existence won't last forever. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you truly accept that this life is short, you realize it's also infinitely precious. Every moment becomes a gift to unwrap. Every choice becomes a chance to build something unbreakable within yourself. The path isn't easy, but it's simple. Choose wisely, live deeply, stay steady, and remember, you're not just surviving this life, you're sculpting it. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this resonated with something deep inside you, there's another video waiting that will take you even further on this journey. Until next time, stay unshakable. The world needs what you're building.